The skill I chose for my personal growth project video is trying to learn German to a level at which I could speak for myself and not have to ask others to speak for me, and just in general so I could understand what people around me are saying in a social setting. Furthermore, trying to order for myself, ask for directions, just basic needs like that. I chose this particular skill because I wanted to be able to accomplish something like this throughout the duration of the summer. I think it's a pretty unique task. And also, I travel to Austria quite often, where German is the dominant language, so again, I want to be able to speak for myself. And lastly, adding a new language to my palette of languages in itself is pretty cool and useful for my future. So this is my mentor this summer for my skill.
Hello, my name is Sasha and I am from Russia.
Okay, so Sasha is my mentor because Sasha is fluent in German. He lived in Austria for how long?
For 10 years.
So he knows the language pretty well, and I figured he'd be a great mentor since we are traveling together this summer and are constantly together, right?
Correct.
Servus, wie geht's? That's kind of like Austrian. Servus is like hello or like good day, and then wie geht's is like how are you? Anyways, this part of the video I want to tie in one of the topics that I am incorporating into my skill, and that is determination. Starting this skill, I was pretty determined to kind of master it and try to be as fluent as possible by the end of the summer, but I realized it's kind of impossible with the language because you really need to I think one of the most important things with learning a language is immersing yourself into a setting where it's constantly spoken, and I can't really do that because I don't live in Austria. I'm only here for about a month out of the whole summer, but even though I would kind of lose motivation when my pronunciation wouldn't come out right, or I wouldn't say things correctly after 30 times of saying the same thing, I still instilled in myself that I need to be determined in order to get the outcome that I want out of this. So that is definitely one skill that has really, or one topic from this course that really helped me persevere throughout this summer and still going. Hallo, Servus, wie geht's?
Mir geht es wunderbar. Und wie geht es dir?
Auch gut. Was willst du heute machen?
Wahrscheinlich werde ich Fußball spielen. Und was hast du für heute geplant?
Ich will zum Strand gehen und danach.
Und danach. You can just say it quicker. Und danach.
Und danach etwas zu essen holen.
Yeah, that's very good.
So one of the biggest critiques I got from Mr. Kozlov is that I have to learn how to self-manage my emotions when my pronunciation or overall vocabulary or sentences don't come out correctly the first time I try it.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true, because German is not a simple language, so you need to really try, and it doesn't come in one day. It needs some time and reinforcement.
How I handled feedback or criticism really would depend on the situation, even though that's something I did try to work on, to not let my emotions overpower my reaction to things. But overall, looking back now throughout the summer, I would say I handled it in a pretty good fashion. I would apply the corrections and I would move forward and persevere. So Sasha and I just got home. I'm still a little shooketh, if that's even a word, but we were driving through Vienna and I got pulled over. I was driving by a cop and I had to speak to this Austrian cop in German, and I was already on nerves just because of the situation, getting pulled over in a foreign city. Do you think the cop understood what I was saying?
Well, he definitely did, but of course your pronunciation was not at its finest, because I can understand you're nervous and all. I would also be nervous if I would gotten pulled over in a foreign country.
Yeah, I get nervous if I get pulled over in the U.S.
Exactly. Well, still, he was able to get the whole idea of what you were trying to say. Of course, it was not maybe grammatically correct. The pronunciation maybe was not the best. However, you got what you needed to. You said what you wanted to say, and he understood it pretty well. So that's good.
So Sasha's feedback was a little disappointing, but very, I guess, useful to hear, because obviously I really need to work on my pronunciation because it's not at the level that it should be after 3 or 4 weeks of consistently practicing. So that is something I definitely have to take into account. Kind of memorize how to explain the weather outside, I guess, in different ways. Es ist sehr heiß heute. Heute. Es ist sehr heiß heute.
Good.
It is hot outside. Es hat heute geregnet. It rained
Good.
today.
Very good.
Es ist sehr schwül draußen. It is insanely humid today, aka Florida. Es ist wolkig. It is cloudy today. I think one of the most fundamental things regarding my skill and just throughout the summer has really been about keeping a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. This is something that we talked about in previous modules. Just to recap, a growth mindset is the belief that the most basic skills and talents can be developed through dedication, hard work, and I think this definitely applied towards the skill that I was trying to master this summer. Even though I am far away from mastering it, I still have a really long way to go, because after all, you can't really learn a language in 12 weeks. Well, you can, but you most likely are not going to be fluent in it. And I've just overall learned to embrace challenges such as not being in Austria all the time, for example, where like German is spoken all the time. Sasha and I have traveled to places where German is not nearly spoken as much or not spoken at all in those places, so it's been hard to kind of to switch myself to I've learned to definitely persist through adversity with keeping a growth mindset, as well as really learning or taking in and learning from critique and feedback that my mentor has been giving me throughout the summer. Although sometimes it is frustrating because you feel like you keep trying and trying and trying, but it's still not working. You still have to be open to that feedback. And overall, just realizing that failure and effort go hand in hand, and they are important to be successful in the future. So coming towards the end of the summer semester and of my personal growth skill, I learned quite a few things about myself this summer. Starting at the beginning, I learned that I lacked self-management, a lot of it actually, when it came to just managing my stress and just overall emotions when I would react to, for example, feedback that I didn't like, or if I would try saying a phrase or a word and I would just keep trying and it would not come out the way it is meant to be or is supposed to sound. That would just really sometimes throw me over the edge, and I would just start panicking and having like a mini rage attack. But throughout the summer, I definitely got better at just realizing how I'm acting in those types of situations and just learning to control myself and tell myself to manage myself and my emotions. I honestly don't know what this project has taught me about my own capabilities as a leader, just because I feel like sometimes I was more of a follower throughout this journey than a leader, because I had such a great mentor who would help me and mentor me along the way. So I would say I was a pretty active follower and a pretty exemplary action type of follower, if I do say so myself. But I definitely think the way Sasha and I coexisted this summer will really help me apply some of those skill sets towards future leadership abilities that are now instilled in me thanks to what I practiced and what we practiced this summer. So yeah, thanks to this skill and my great mentor, I definitely learned some things that will be utilized for future leadership capabilities.